You made a lot of money a few years ago, didn't you? The person on the other end was a little scared. Who are you? Wu Chen didn't beat around the bush. In an hour, the private room of the King Yuan-ti house, by the mountains and flowing water. Li Rubing was skeptical. Can you really take over Su's group with just those 2 sentences? Wu Chen turned his head. What do you mean? That's my next goal, to break them up internally. Let's go. Li Rubing tried to persuade him. Wu Chen, why don't you think it over carefully? Wu Chen replied, otherwise, we can continue to bet. Li Rubing refused. No more betting. Let's go. An hour later, Wu Chen said as he left, you to stay here and have some tea. I'll go over there first. Wu Chen stepped into the room, where someone was already waiting. Wu Chen said, you arrived on time. The person in the room quickly stood up, went to the door to observe, and then turned to ask, you're the one who called me, right? This person was Yao Honglin, the director and a shareholder who owned 3.8% of Jinfu Group shares. Wu Chen casually sat down and sipped his tea. Yes, it's me. Yao Honglin quickly asked, where's Bai Kaifeng? How much did he give you? What do you want? Kid, don't think that just because you know about my business, you can blackmail me. If you're straightforward, tell me where Bai Kaifeng is, and I'll sign you a check that you can spend for the rest of your life. Wu Chen drank his tea and replied, let's talk about money later. A murderer and arsonist like you is really daring. Yao Honglin still denied it. Kid, you can eat indiscriminately, but you can't talk indiscriminately. Wu Chen smiled sinisterly. Oh, is that so? Then what about the money that was buried in the mountains near Moshi? With today's advanced technology, it's not a problem to solve past cases, is it? Yao Honglin was scared out of his wits. Stop it. That's enough. 150 million. Is that okay? Wu Chen calmly replied, don't be in a hurry. I heard that Boss Yao's business hasn't been going well recently. You've been opening fake accounts to make up for the losses. The young lover who helped you create those fake accounts, what's her name? Yao Honglin was really scared. He shouted, enough. 200 million? No, 300 million. I'll pay it in installments. 300 million. I don't have any more. Su Qinjiang came in angrily. President Yao. Yao Honglin turned his head in shock. Miss Su, Boss Li. Wu Chen patted Yao Honglin on the shoulder. Why did you two come here so quickly? Yao Honglin asked in fear. They heard everything. Su Qinjiang asked, President Yao, did you really commit murder and arson? Yao Honglin stammered. Oh, this. Wu Chen calmly said, Qinjiang, let's not talk about the past for now. President Yao, I'll just say it straight. I don't need your money. Yao Honglin was secretly cursing in his heart. Fuck. Not needing money is the scariest thing. However, on the surface, Yao Honglin still accepted the teacup from Wu Chen. Thank you. Wu Chen continued, I just need you to support everything Miss Su says in the board of directors from now on. Do you understand? Yao Honglin was a little incredulous. It's that simple. Wu Chen affirmed, that's right, it's that simple. Yao Honglin was relieved. Miss Su, I thought someone wanted me dead just now. I was really scared to death. It's just a small matter. What Miss Su says, how could I refuse? Why do I need to bother Miss Li and this gentleman? Yao Honglin began to calculate in his mind. Su Qinjiang was the only heir of the Su family. No matter how chaotic the Su family was, she was still the chairman of the group in the end. They wanted to use him but couldn't sell him out. Not only did he dissolve the danger, he even made a profit. This was truly a stroke of good fortune. Yao Honglin put down his teacup. Mr. Wu, rest assured. From now on, Miss Su's matters are also my matters. I will definitely listen to President Su's lead in the group. Wu Chen was also happy. A gentleman's words are golden. You can go now. Yao Honglin walked towards the door. Okay, then you can go ahead with your work. I'll go first. Li Rubing was a little confused. That's it. Even if he supports Miss Su, what good will it do to you with just one shareholder? There are more than 10 shareholders in Jinfu Group. Not everyone will be blackmailed by you. What's the point of this? Wu Chen didn't answer. Instead, he asked Li Rubing, you use this strategy to make me talk. Li Rubing snapped. I'm not joking with you. It was you who threatened him just now. Once this trick is broken, it will be very serious. Moreover, Those shareholders of Jinfu Group can't be dealt with just by threatening them. Wu Chen simply smiled. It's not necessary to threaten all those people, it's enough to secure a part of them. Su Qinjing asked excitedly, Darling, how many more people do you need to continue threatening? Wu Chen counted with his fingers, not including the one you just finished. There are 5 more. Both of you, go drink some tea and wait for me. Su Qinjing replied, Darling, don't be too tired. The next few people that Wu Chen met with were Wen Shuang, the vice president of Jinfu Group, Chen Lei, the chief financial officer, Bu Changhai, the chief legal officer of Jinfu Group, Zun Haomin, the chairman of Dongdu Independent Insurance, and Dong Zuzu. After a day of hard work, everything was finally done. Wu Chen sent off the last guest. Walk slowly. Li Rubing looked at Wu Chen in confusion. Even if you have a firm grasp on these 6 shareholders, you still can't reach 2/3 of the shareholders' seats. Not even half. What do you rely on to control the board of directors? Wu Chen said mysteriously, Some things are very complicated to explain. Let's wait for the results tomorrow. Su Qinjing hugged Wu Chen's arm. Whatever hubby says is right. I'll listen to hubby. Wu Chen turned to Li Rubing. That's right. There are some things I need to talk to Qinjing about. Rubing, can we stay at your place today? Li Rubing also hugged Wu Chen. Humph, you're not welcome. Wu Chen asked sarcastically. Then why did you drag me? Li Rubing said arrogantly. Let's go. When they got home, Li Rubing said, Qinjing, you go take a shower first. Then she pulled Wu Chen to the balcony. Wu Chen was a little puzzled. Why did you chase Qinjing away? Li Rubing replied, Don't talk anymore. Once they reached the balcony, Li Rubing hugged Wu Chen. Kiss me. Wu Chen didn't ask any more questions. He leaned down and kissed Li Rubing. At another corner, a man was snapping photos of them continuously. While kissing, Wu Chen couldn't help but think, is Li Rubing a top? No, that's not right. Su Qinjing is taking a shower. She'll be out soon. Even if Li Rubing had anything in mind, she wouldn't choose this moment. If I'm not mistaken, she's putting on a show, looking for someone to take secret photos. With that in mind, Wu Chen made Li Rubing sit on the railing. Wu Chen was pleased in his heart. If that's the case, then I'll make a small sacrifice. I hope Ding Rulong will be satisfied. The photographer was surprised, but he continued to snap photos. 2 minutes later, Wu Chen let go of Li Rubing. The person taking the secret photos had probably left by now. Li Rubing straightened her hair. So you already know. I didn't think you'd be so cooperative. It's getting late. Let's go to bed. At that moment, in the head office of the Rulong Group in Nangwang City, Ding Rulong was furious. Fuck. They do it on the balcony. Li Rubing, how shameless can you be? Ding Rulong was so angry that he broke 7 pens and roared, Wu Chen, you bastard. You have to die right now. Xiang Chuan, a man named Xiang Chuan, quickly responded, Yes, sir, you called me. Xiang Chuan was one of Ding Rulong's most trusted men. He had been a special forces soldier. Ding Rulong controlled his anger. Xiang Chuan, you go to Donghai. Wu Chen, I want him dead. The more gruesome, the better. Xiang Chuan looked through Wu Chen's information and replied, Donghai is Liao Yutia's territory. I'll need 5 days. Ding Rulong was impatient. I can't wait that long, 3 days. I need to hear news of Wu Chen's gruesome death within 3 days. Xiang Chuan accepted the order. Yes, sir. The next day, in Li Rubing's house, Wu Chen woke up Su Qinjing. Qinjing, wake up. Su Qinjing stretched her hand. Hubby, I'm still sleepy. Wu Chen coaxed her. You can sleep when you get home after work. Do you remember everything I taught you before you went to bed yesterday? Su Qinjing replied confidently, Of course. She knew that the success or failure of today would determine the rest of her life. Just then, Li Rubing knocked on the door. Qinjing, let's go. I'll take you to the company. After a short drive, Su Qinjing got out of the car. As soon as she arrived, someone came to report to her. Miss Su, these are the proposals from the previous meeting. Please take a look. If possible, sign them today. Before the female assistant could finish speaking, the male assistant interjected, Miss Su, regarding the budget and plan to enhance the brand value. Su Qinjing interrupted him. We'll discuss the details in the meeting later. Let's open the conference room for the meeting first. After saying that, Su Qinjing turned to greet Li Rubing. Miss Li, See you next time. Then, Su Qinjing turned and walked into the company. Let's go. At 10 a.m., at the high-level meeting of the Gen4 group in the conference room, Mrs. Su questioned loudly, "What did you say, Qinjing? Repeat it. You're revolting." Su Qinjing also responded firmly, "Dismissed from Zhou Do and Yongkuo. If you don't agree, then call a board meeting." Mrs. Su couldn't believe it. "What? You want to call a board meeting?" The employees in the conference room didn't understand what was going on. Why were this mother and daughter acting this way? Su Qinjing continued, "I am the executive vice president of the company and a member of the board of directors. I have the right to call board meetings." "Oh, that's right. I am the executive vice president. The decision to dismiss the security department and deputy managers does not require a board resolution. Just make the decision. I'll inform the HR department after the meeting." Mrs. Su slammed the table in anger. What did they do wrong? Why are they being fired for no reason? If there is a case of labor discrimination, the company will be at a disadvantage. Once this news reaches the media, it will have a negative impact on the company's reputation. Can you bear the consequences? Su Qinjing recalled Wu Chen's words from the previous night. At that point, you will first dismissed from Zhou Do and Yongkuo from the company. Because of them? Su Qinjing replied loudly, "I'm not firing them for no reason. I have my reasons. 5 days ago, the morning of the 5th day, a store of our group in Don High Street was robbed. That is the largest store of the group in the country, with the best decoration, surveillance, and security at the highest level." Su Qinjing took the remote control and turned on the projector, then continued, "But a store like that was robbed. The outside is questioning the security capabilities of our group. As a result, the stock price has plunged in the past few days. As of now, the group's market value has evaporated by 4 billion. Normally, Zhou Do, the head of the security department, should be held responsible. However, for me, it doesn't matter whether he takes responsibility or not. What matters is to stabilize public opinion and show the outside world that the group is determined to reform its security. Therefore, only by firing Zhou Do, the head of the security department, can we quickly bring the stock price back up." Everyone felt that the current Miss Su was completely different from before. Mrs. Su continued to question, "Okay, you can fire Zhou Do, but what about Yongkuo? Does he also have to take the blame for the group?" Su Qinjing was a little annoyed. "But Yongkuo doesn't work for the group. Why should he take the blame?" Mrs. Su had a headache. "What are you talking about?" Su Qinjing didn't hesitate to tell the truth. "Yongkuo's position in the group is only nominal. He's just your personal bodyguard. I'm not wrong, am I?" At this point, Mrs. Su understood. "I see. Whether to fire someone or not, and for what reason, doesn't matter. Today, Su Qinjing just wants to find a reason to rebel," Mrs. Su said angrily. "Call a board meeting. Inform everyone immediately. We will hold a board meeting at 3 p.m. Meanwhile, at the other end, at the Li Rubing's company." Li Rubing asked Wu Chen curiously, "Why are you here?" "I guess Mrs. Su is about to make her move. Aren't you going to do something?" Wu Chen replied calmly, "I've already said, on Qinjing's side we just have to observe. As for me, right now I just want to paint." Li Rubing was even more curious. "Paint? Paint what?" Wu Chen looked up. "Paint you." Wu Chen thought to himself, "Those secret photos from yesterday. By now, Ding Rulong must have investigated me quite thoroughly. He must be preparing to make a move soon. It's time for me to do something about him." Li Rubing asked, in confusion, "What are you doing?" Wu Chen replied, "Nothing. I'm just drawing a sketch for you." Li Rubing was a little annoyed. "I'm very busy with work. I don't have time to be your model." Wu Chen picked up his phone. "You do your own thing. I'll draw mine. I won't delay you. Just act like I don't exist." Wu Chen opened a message and thought, "This is the group I was added to based on the sketch I made earlier. There's someone in this group who needs a new painting to finish, and they have a close relationship with Ding Rulong." Wu Chen read the messages while sketching. He also sent a message, "Practice your line art more. The contrast between light and dark lines is too low. There's not enough sense of three-dimensionality." The others quickly replied, "Teacher, you're too strict. You just joined the group. You are a teacher. We've never heard of you. Do you have any representative works? If not, Don't brag. Wu Chen took out his sketches and sent them to the group. Just some doodles, still working on them. 40 minutes later, messages kept coming in. Beautiful, beautiful, who is this? Don't be vulgar, it's amazing, I'm kneeling. The girl in the painting looks unfamiliar. Which one is she? It feels so vivid. Oh, teacher, where do you work? I work at the Art Association. The number of messages in the group kept increasing. Wu Chen thought to himself, the atmosphere is so lively, you're still not coming out. Just then, a private message came in. Hello, teacher. I have a daughter who is in her 3rd year of high school. I hope you can give her some pointers. Wu Chen was overjoyed. She's finally here. The person who sent the message was Linyuan Buxianyu, Ding Rulong's high school senior and the woman who held a special place in his heart compared to the others. They were special because they had a child together who was now 14 years old. Wu Chen quickly replied, pointers are too serious. Everyone is here to exchange ideas about art. Linyuan Buxianyu replied, you're too modest. Would you mind evaluating my daughter's painting? Wu Chen also replied modestly, her painting is very good. Compared to the children who just joined the group, she has a little more talent. Linyuan Buxianyu smiled. To have the affirmation of an expert in the field, as expected, her persistence was not wrong. This child really had talent. Linyuan Buxianyu quickly sent another message. Teacher, you said so too, that's great. Oh, right. What are you doing now, teacher? Are you in Shanghai? Wu Chen laughed in his heart. Hi, it's easier than I thought. Wu Chen replied to Linyuan Buxianyu, yes, what's up? Linyuan Buxianyu didn't beat around the bush. Teacher, your level is much higher than the teachers I've met before. I would like to invite you to be my daughter's tutor. If you can come, food and lodging are not a problem. I'll pay you 2,000 yuan for each tutoring session. What do you think? Wu Chen pretended to hesitate. You're too kind. Actually, your daughter is quite talented, but this... Linyuan Buxianyu quickly realized the problem. Teacher, is there anything else you're worried about? Just say it. We can negotiate. Please don't refuse. Okay. Wu Chen replied, okay, since we're fated to meet, then all right. We can discuss the details when we meet. Linyuan Buxianyu was overjoyed. Okay. When will you be free, teacher? I'll wait for your news 24/7. Wu Chen sighed in relief and thought to himself, the plan is going very smoothly. The next step is to make her one of my people. When that happens, she come to Donghai and be completely under my control. After all, she was a key witness to Ding Rulong's most heinous crimes. Wu Chen suddenly stood up, said, you go ahead and get busy. I have something to do. I'll go first. As Wu Chen walked, he thought to himself, Linyuan Buxianyu and her daughter are only part of my plan. What's next? Wu Chen called someone. The person on the other end quickly picked up. Hello, who are you looking for? Wu Chen replied, of course I'm looking for you. The two sides met. You tell me, if Ding Rulong finds out about you, will you die or not? The person on the other end shouted, hey? What nonsense are you talking about? Who are you? I don't know the person you're talking about. Wu Chen continued walking and talking. Don't deny it. How about I go find Li Rutai now? The person on the other end quickly stopped him. Wait, my friend, let's talk things over slowly. Wu Chen said, then do as I say, we'll meet at 3 p.m. I'll send you the address later. The person on the other end quickly agreed. Okay. Wu Chen smiled. It has to be like that. At Jinfu Group, 3 p.m., Mrs. Su gave the order. Everyone is here. Close the door. Let's start the board meeting of the group. Su Qingjing continued. I'm sure everyone here has heard about the specific content of this board meeting. At first, it was just a small problem. If a board meeting was held, anyone with an opinion could speak. I hope that those who oppose me can give a reason. Don't oppose me just for the sake of it. Everyone felt that this was a strong warning. Some people thought to themselves, fortunately, we knew about this situation beforehand. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to adapt to Miss Su like this later on. Mrs. Su also had to applaud. Not bad. Qingjing, you've really opened my eyes today. Then, Mrs. Su slammed the table and stood up. But today's matter, if I say it's not okay, then it's not okay, Mrs. Su then spoke softly. Joe Dahl has been with the group for decades, from being a security manager at the factory to being the head of the general office. He has been conscientious and dedicated, and he has never made a mistake as an employee. If you do this, how can it not discourage the other employees, am I right? Someone nodded in agreement. That's true, I think so too, Mrs. Su secretly thought. Qin Jing didn't refute me, and the company board is on my side. Very good, continue. Mrs. Su continued. This morning, you said that Joe Dahl should resign voluntarily. You secretly gave him a sum of money as compensation. He has the right to refuse. If you forcibly dismiss him and force him to take responsibility, the media will take advantage of it and cause a stir. The stock price will also fluctuate. More and more people began to agree. I agree with the madam's opinion. Such a risk does exist. I think so too, Su Qinjing thought to herself. She's still the madam after all. Su Qinjing spoke up now. You say you're right, and she says she's right. This kind of debate won't produce any practical results. Let's vote on it. Now, those who support my proposal, raise your hands, Mrs. Su shouted. I'd like to see who dares. One person raised their hand in support of Su Qinjing. Mrs. Su saw it and thought, only one person raised their hand. That's a miracle. But then, a few more people raised their hands. Mrs. Su secretly felt that something was wrong. Wait a minute, there's more. No, it can't be. Yao Honglin, even Chen Haomin, Wen Shuang, Song Zhuanning, and Chen Lei. Mrs. Su couldn't control her anger and shouted, I don't care about the others. Chen Lei, after you graduated from university, you joined the group. I promoted you from a financial staff to your current position. I need you to give me an explanation. Su Qinjing stopped her. Mom, don't affect the results of the vote. Continue voting. Mrs. Su put her hand to her forehead. In the conference room, people were still discussing heatedly. Su Qinjing recalled what Wu Chen had said. Not everyone needs to take the initiative to speak. Some people only need you to show your attitude and strength, and they will turn around and support you with the majority. Su Qinjing thought to herself, it seems that I have to be tougher. Su Qinjing tapped on table. Does anyone else support me? At that moment, the group's most respected and closest elder, Sheng Dang, coughed and raised his hand to vote. Mrs. Su was surprised. Dang, you. Sheng Dang interrupted her sister-in-law. Qinjing has grown up. Look at Qinjing. Mrs. Su stood up in anger and slammed the table. Look at what? Humph, there are only 9 votes. It hasn't even passed half. I want to see who is trying to make things difficult for me and Lao Su. According to the board's resolution, major matters required a 2/3 vote to pass, while general resolutions required a simple majority of 1/2. Today's resolution was a minor matter, so it only needed 1/2 to pass. That meant that Su Qinjing was currently short 1 vote. Su Qinjing slammed her hand on the table. Everyone turned their eyes to Su Qinjing at this moment. Su Qinjing was recalling Wu Chen's words. Actually, the key is not to control the board of directors, but to make your mother give up. The next step is the final move. Can it resolve the hostility or not? Su Qinjing felt that this was the moment. Su Qinjing said to Mrs. Su, Mom, do you absolutely have to do that? Mrs. Su looked into Su Qinjing's eyes. I do that. What am I afraid of? I'm your mother. If I can't control you, then who can? Su Qinjing also replied calmly, you can prevent me from passing this resolution. You are the chairman's wife. They all listen to you. Is it good for me, for the Su family, or for the group? I hope you can think clearly. What are you trying to do today? When will our family stop being controlled by outsiders? Mrs. Su thought for a moment. If she didn't let Su Qinjing pass the resolution, then from now on, there would be a huge conflict within the Su family that couldn't be resolved for some time. The company board of directors would be directly divided into 2 factions. The group would be in chaos, business would not go smoothly, and the stock price would plummet. Qinjing would have no hope of inheriting the company. In the end, the company would go bankrupt and close down. Mrs. Su put her hands on the table and then turned and left. Mrs. Su thought to herself, we're family, why do things have to go to this extent? That's enough. Su Qinjing calmly asked the others, who else supports me? Who opposes? Everyone raised their hands in agreement. The resolution is passed. Su Qingying announced, meeting adjourned. From this moment on, Su Qingying and the Jinfa group had changed hands. On the other side, Lu Guangnian was calling Wu Chen for help. "Little brother, you have a favor to ask." Wu Chen asked back, "Director Lu, do you have something to do?" Lu Guangnian scratched his head. "Little brother, to be honest, I really need your help." Wu Chen was making calculations. It's still early for the appointment with the spy. So Wu Chen agreed, "I'll go." The two of them agreed to meet at the Chengxi Yufalu. As soon as Lu Guangnian saw Wu Chen, he ran over and patted his shoulder. "Little brother, you are here, do you know?" Lu Guangnian paused for a moment and then uncovered his hair for Wu Chen to see. "Look, my head." Wu Chen asked, "What's wrong with your head? Was beaten by your first love?" Lu Guangnian hurriedly took Wu Chen's hand and said, "Isn't it obvious? She used a teacup to hit me and chase me away. Is there any other way for me to make her and son accept me?" Wu Chen said calmly, "Director Lu, don't rush this matter. You can slowly change her with time. It will be fine. Sit down first." Lu Guangnian said in a hurry, "Little brother, you know my situation. It's my son. I can't wait." Wu Chen still calmly sat down and poured tea. "Tell me what you've done." Lu Guangnian began to recall what he had done. He went looking for her. He bought her flowers, a diamond ring, a necklace, and a Ferrari for son. Wu Chen frowned and said, "Boss Lu, you make people feel like you're throwing money at them. She has almost experienced poverty and hardship before, and now she probably won't come back to you because of money. The things you do are humiliating and disgusting in her eyes." Lu Guangnian suddenly remembered Mo Huafang's words. "Lu Guangnian, if you dare to come again, we will move." "Can't we move away to avoid you?" Lu Guangnian seemed to have a sudden realization. "So that's it. It's not surprising. Little brother, do you have any solution?" Wu Chen replied, "There are two ways. The first is to start with your son. It will take some time, because Mo Huafang's son will gradually forgive you. The second one is very fast, and it may even be done today." Lu Guangnian hurriedly chose the second one. "I chose the second one." "Little brother, tell me how to do it." Wu Chen hesitated. "This way is very fast, but—" Lu Guangnian took out his phone and said, "Little brother, don't be hesitant. If you can do it, money is not a problem. I transfer it now." Wu Chen explained, "Mr. Lu, not everything is related to money. The method is not complicated, but you just have to endure some humiliation." Lu Guangnian immediately replied, "I'm not afraid of humiliation. How can I do it?" Wu Chen leaned over to Lu Guangnian. "Mr. Lu, if you can make up your mind to let go of your dignity, we can do this." Then the two of them went to Ma Huafang's home, Huayuan Tranching, Jingjiang Road, South District. Wu Chen was in the surveillance room of the neighborhood. Wu Chen thought to himself, "Mr. Lu, let's see how you're going to do." At this moment, Lu Guangnian was standing at the door of Ma Huafang's house, said, Xiaofang, are you home?" "Xiaofang," Ma Huafang snapped, "I'm not home, I'm dead. Don't come again in the future." Lu Guangnian continued to plead, "Xiaofang, don't do this. Open the door first and I will." Ma Huafang suddenly opened the door and shouted, "What are you doing here? How much longer do you want to make a fuss? Get lost." Lu Guangnian hurriedly raised the bag of food in his hand. "Don't worry, I brought you food, pancakes and fruits. We used to eat this when we were poor." Ma Huafang angrily threw the bag of food away. "I don't need your things, go away." Lu Guangnian hurriedly bent down to pick it up. Just then, Lu Guangnian's son, Ma Kedui, walked out. "What are you picking up? Can you go away quickly?" Ma Huafang turned around and scolded her son. "Mind your own business, go back to your room," Lu Guangnian hurriedly advised. "Xiaofeng, don't be angry in front of your son." So they dragged this on for half an hour. After a while, the security guard of the building walked over. "We have been watching on CCTV for half an hour. Do you know that you are disturbing the neighbors? Someone has already reported it." Lu Guangnian hurriedly admitted his mistake. "It's my problem." The security guard continued, "If you want to quarrel, go home and do it. Don't disturb the residents at the front door." Ma Huafang denied. "Who is related to him? I don't know him. He came to my door to harass me." Let's take him away quickly. The security guard turned to Lu Guangnian and said, "Did you hear that? She said she doesn't know you, don't make trouble anymore, go away." Lu Guangnian said angrily, "I'm not leaving. I'm talking to my wife. Get out of the way." The security guard said again, "This old man is even cursing." Lu Guangnian shook off the security guard's hand and said, "What's wrong with cursing you? Get lost. Why should you care about a couple arguing?" Saying this, the security guards shouted, "This old man is not only cursing, but also beating people." He made the first move. The security guards of the whole building kicked Lu Guangnian continuously. Lu Guangnian said as he was beaten, "If you have the ability, beat me to death. Even if I die, I won't leave. If I don't have my wife and children, my life is meaningless." The security guards continued to curse, "This is a stupid love-struck fool." Wu Chen looked through the CCTV and felt a little admiration for Lu Guangnian's superb acting skills, but if he guessed correctly, it would be exactly as Wu Chen thought. "More QIDU," I shouted. "Don't hit my father." Ma Huafeng also went up to stop them. "Don't hit him anymore." Mo Kedui couldn't help but rush forward and shout, "Fuck, you're hitting my father. Today, I'm going to kill you." Ma Huafeng shouted with all her might, "That's enough. Don't fight anymore, stop." Lu Guangnian looked up at Xiaofang. He thought to himself, "I almost got beaten up." After the matter with Ma Huafeng was settled, the security guard went back to the CCTV room. A security guard shook hands with Wu Chen. Everyone acted very realistically. It was hard work. Let's get paid. Wu Chen thought to himself, the result is as I thought. After the security guard had seen the money to his account, he said, "If Director Lu and his wife quarrel again, remember to look for us. With this experience, we will be able to act more realistically next time." Wu Chen looked at the CCTV and thought, "I don't need to participate in the future. Mr. Lu will handle it well. It's time to do some main work." As soon as Wu Chen left Ma Huafeng's apartment, he received a phone call. The other end of the line asked anxiously, "It's already 3:30. Where the hell are you?" "Don't you need me?" Wu Chen asked back, "What do you want?" The other end of the line hurriedly lowered his voice and said, "Brother, I don't want to argue with you. When will you arrive? Tell me." Wu Chen said calmly, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." 5 minutes later, Wu Chen arrived at the Dongcheng district, Shudao Cafe. As soon as he opened the door and walked in, Wu Chen said, "You've been waiting for a long time." The spy slammed the table. It turned out that the two-faced spy was Meng Jianhao, the chairman of the Longshan Security Group, member of the Jiangsu Province Security Association Council, and representative of the Donghai City People's Congress. Meng Jianhao didn't answer, but asked Wu Chen, "Did you call me?" Wu Chen replied calmly, "Yes, it's me. What do you want to do? Let your subordinates listen to me tell some embarrassing stories about you. Then help you spread them outside." Meng Jianhao shouted, "Who the hell are you?" Wu Chen remained calm and pressed the phone. "I hate it when people swear at me. It seems that you don't want to talk to me properly today. Then let's forget it. I'll see you off." The other end of the line quickly said, "Hey, brother-in-law. What a coincidence. I was just about to call you." Meng Jianhao thought to himself, "This is Li Rutai's voice. This guy is Li Rutai's brother-in-law." His age and appearance matched what had been rumored in Donghai these days. He was Wu Chen. Li Rutai didn't see Wu Chen's reply for a long time and was a little worried. "What's wrong, brother-in-law? Do you have something to do?" Wu Chen replied, "There's a traitor beside me. I need to deal with him." Li Rutai said angrily, "Who the hell is it, brother-in-law? Tell me. I'll go and deal with him right now." Meng Jianhao fell to his knees tremblingly and grabbed Wu Chen's pants, begging him in a humble manner. Wu Chen continued, "Employee number C812 of your company." Li Rutai quickly replied, "Got it. Hang up now, brother-in-law. I'll deal with it and tell you later." Wu Chen looked at Meng Jianhao and said, "Now we can talk." Meng Jianhao couldn't ask for more. Can you be my brother? No. Can you be my grandfather? Let's go upstairs and talk. Let's talk about how to deal with this matter." After going upstairs, Meng Jianhao made tea. "Mr. Wu, please have some tea." Just then, Wu Xian's phone rang. It was Lu Guangnian. "Where are you, little brother?" Wu Chen replied, Brother Lo, aren't you and your sister-in-law reconciled? I have something to do, Lu Guangnian said anxiously. Your business is my business. Tell me your address. I'll come over there immediately. Wu Chen thought to himself, that's great. Now I need to borrow some power from Lu Guangnian, it will be easier that way. With that in mind, Wu Chen said, okay, Brother Lu, Dongcheng District, Shidao Cafe, 2nd floor. Meng Junhao asked in fear, Mr. Wu, is someone else coming? Wu Chen replied, it's a friend of mine. Don't stand there, sit down. Meng Junhao refused, no, Mr. Wu, if you have any instructions, just give them to me. Wu Chen raised his teacup, Mr. Meng, for years ago, you became Ding Rulong's man. Over the past few years, you have been constantly placing his confidence into the companies of Li Rutoi and Li Rubing. Last month, you were exposed by Li Rutoi and almost lost your life. But as soon as you turned around, you sold him out to Ding Rulong again. Meng Junhao clasped his hands together and said, Mr. Wu, please stop talking. You can just give me your orders. Whether I can do it or not, I will definitely do it for you. Wu Chen said lightly, I guess Ding Rulong will send someone to assassinate me very soon. Meng Junhao hurriedly explained, Mr. Wu, collecting your information and dealing with you is not my responsibility. Wu Chen looked out the window, I know what you're in charge of. It's my daily routine, listen carefully. Ding Rulong or his confidant will contact you soon. If you want to live, do whatever they ask you to do, got it? Meng Junhao asked curiously, do I need to report this to you? And then put on some kind of a show. Wu Chen continued to sip his tea, no need. Just do your job and don't tell Li Rutei. This is the only way for you to survive. Meng Junhao didn't know what to say. He could only think to himself, I don't need to do anything. So what did you call me for? Do you think I'll just wait here for something to happen and die? Wu Chen seems to understand Meng Junhao's thoughts, don't worry. Ding Rulong's men in Donghai, Fenyong, Huang Tubing, Sujun, and Kaofeng are all small fries. They don't pose any threat to me. The reason I came to you is because you are more interesting than them. Therefore, I need you to send a similar gift to Ding Rulong, but not now. At this moment, Lu Guangnian walked over, you're here. Wu Chen also raised his hand and said, hello, Brother Lu. Lu Guangnian said in a low voice, Brother Meng, you brought 20 or 30 people downstairs. Are you trying to pick a fight with us? Meng Junhao hurriedly explained, Brother Lu, I didn't. It's a misunderstanding. Wu Chen also said, it's a small matter. Brother Lu just arrived. Don't be angry. We're all friends. Meng Junhao quickly chimed in, yes, we're all friends. Brother Lu, you've misunderstood. Mr. Wu and I had a little misunderstanding. We've talked it out, really. Lu Guangnian turned to Wu Chen and asked, are you done talking, little brother? Don't be polite with him. Your business is my business. In Donghai, if anyone dares to touch a single hair on your head, I will tear him apart. Meng Junhao trembled when he heard this. Wu Chen thought to himself, well, this matter is over. The little bit of power I just borrowed from Lu Guangnian will lead to a kind of transformation. Meng Junhao will now see that even without Li Rubing and Li Rutei, I, Wu Chen, still have my own powerful connections. His perception will change. He will guess that I am like Ding family and Li family, a big force with a terrifying background and powerful connections. His actions, which were previously hesitant out of fear, will become proactive and strive for excellence. Wu Xian's phone rang again. The caller was Mu Qianchen. She was sobbing. Wu Chen, I'm at your door. Wu Chen was worried and asked, what's wrong? Are you at my door? Wu Chen quickly said goodbye after hearing this. I have something to do. I'll go first. Brother Lu, Brother Meng, I'll see you later. Meng Junhao was secretly shocked. The voice on the phone was clearly not Li Rubing's. Mr. Wu is really something. Lu Guangnian also replied, okay. Wu Chen drove home like he was flying. As he drove, he asked Mu Qianchen, I'm on my way. Don't cry anymore, tell me, what's going on? Mu Qianchen sobbed, my parents want to send me abroad to study. Wu Chen felt a little helpless. She was crying like this because of this matter. Mu Qianchen continued to sob, I don't want to go abroad. No one will help me. Hurry back here. Wu Chen had no choice but to say, There's a spare key on the electric meter box next to the door. You open the door and go in and wait for me to come back. Mu Qianchen had just entered the house when Su Qinjing and her bodyguard arrived. As she walked, Su Qinjing thought to herself, I have to celebrate today's success with my husband. When she reached the door, Su Qinjing suddenly remembered something. Oh no, I don't have my husband's house key. A bodyguard suggested, Miss, you can pry the lock open. You can go in, and we'll find someone to fix it. Su Qinjing agreed. That's fine, go ahead. The bodyguard skillfully picked the lock. When the door opened, both Mu Qianchen and Su Qinjing were stunned. Mu Qianchen was the one who broke the silence. Miss Su, Su Qinjing asked, Miss Mu, what are you doing here in Wu Chen's house? Isn't he home? Mu Qianchen quickly replied, No, he told me to wait for him. I used the spare key. Miss Su, what are you doing here? Su Qinjing gestured to the bodyguard. I am Wu Chen's friend. Mu Qianchen replied shyly, Oh, you're all friends. Then come in, Miss Su. Su Qinjing asked as she changed her shoes. When did you arrive, Miss Mu? Mu Qianchen, who was still immersed in her own thoughts, Su Qinjing changed her shoes skillfully and she asked me in a very strange tone. Su Qinjing and Wu Chen, they have a problem. Su Qinjing asked again, Miss Mu, only then did Mu Qianchen come back to her senses. Oh, I arrived less than half an hour ago, Su Qinjing asked as she entered. That's right, Miss Mu. Did Wu Chen say when he would be back? Mu Qianchen answered mechanically. No, he didn't mention it. Su Qinjing smiled. Don't stand there, sit down first, I put some things away. Mu Qianchen sat down on the chair and thought to herself, why did she tell me to sit down? I sat down right away. No, the key is that her tone of voice is like that of a hostess. Could they? 2 minutes later, Su Qinjing stuck her head out of the kitchen. Miss Mu, what would you like to drink? I think there's only. Mu Qianchen envied her in her heart. Their things are all placed together. It seems that they have been living together for a while. Mu Qianchen shouted, Miss Su, have you slept with Wu Chen, right? Su Qinjing didn't answer but asked instead, what about you? Mu Qianchen continued to guess. I knew it. She didn't admit it or deny it. Is she admitting it? She is the #1 beauty in Donghai, acknowledged by the people of Donghai, and she is Wu Chen's woman. Su Qinjing thought to herself. She was also surprised. She was not a threat at all. Su Qinjing asked as she took out the drinks, Tell me, when did you meet Wu Chen? Mu Qianchen replied, When? It was just a few days ago. Su Qinjing handed the bottle of water to Mu Qianchen. A few days ago. That's earlier than me, so I should call you sister. Mu Qianchen was a little confused. What? Sister. Su Qinjing was too lazy to explain. In short, let's get along peacefully. Meanwhile, Wu Chen was stuck in traffic. Wu Chen cursed, damn it, it's traffic jam again. Are you kidding me? It's already dark. 2 hours later, Wu Chen finally arrived home. As soon as he opened the door, he smelled a fragrant smell. He thought to himself, it was the smell of food. Mu Qianchen knew how to cook. As soon as Wu Chen opened the door and walked in, he saw Mu Qianchen being intimate with Su Qinjing. Su Qinjing said, Don't be a hothead, sister. Mu Qianchen turned to Wu Chen and said, You're back. Su Qinjing also said gently, Hubby, hurry up and wash your hands and get ready to eat. Just then, Mu Qianchen frowned and said, Wait a minute. Didn't you call me sister before? Why are you calling me little sister again now? Wu Chen continued, Because you are quite small. Mu Qianchen shouted uncomfortably, Small? What's so small about me? Then she lowered her voice and said, Why did she call you hubby? When did you and Miss Su get together? Wu Chen said, What do you mean? Mu Qianchen acted coquettishly, Oh, big brother, tell me. Su Qinjing turned her head and called out, Husband, sister, don't play around, hurry up and wash your hands and eat. Mu Qianchen replied, Yes, I know. Mu Qianchen asked herself, Why did I tacitly agree to be her sister? Mu Qianchen picked up some food for Wu Chen. Honey, let's eat. Wu Chen asked, Is there anything wrong with the board of directors? I know the result. What about the process? Su Qinjing replied happily, It's perfect, just like what husband predicted. Wu Chen also replied lightly, "It's good that it's not wrong." Mu Qianshan was a little upset. "Wu Chen, it's fine for the two of you to show off your love, but you really don't want to tell me anything." Wu Chen said in surprise, "Si Qinjing didn't tell to you, why don't you guess?" Mu Qianshan said angrily, "Okay, you won't tell me, right? Then I won't go home today." Wu Chen still replied calmly, "Then don't go back, there are enough rooms." Mu Qianshan turned to Su Qinjing and asked, "What about you, Miss Su?" Su Qinjing smiled, "I'm not going back either." Mu Qianshan thought to herself, "This is what you said, don't blame me later." When it was time to go to bed, Su Qinjing showed Mu Qianshan where to sleep. "Miss Mu, you sleep here. We have to get up early tomorrow to go to the company. Go to bed first." Mu Qianshan quickly replied, "Yes, yes." Suddenly, Mu Qianshan rushed to the bed and sat down. "I want to sleep here." Mu Qianshan thought to herself, "What can you do to me?" Su Qinjing gently stroked her hair. "Husband, whatever." Wu Chen looked at the two girls in surprise. "Is that okay?" "That's even better." The three of them then played a puzzle game all night. After they were tired, they fell asleep. The next morning, when the alarm clock rang, Mu Qianshan was still sleepy. "I'm so tired, I still want to sleep more." Su Qinjing had already woken up. Suddenly, Wu Chen received a phone call. "Come to the company quickly." Wu Chen asked, "What's wrong?" The other end of the line said, "My father has come to the company." Wu Chen rubbed Su Qinjing's head. "What's the matter?" Li Rubing said impatiently, "Just get over here quickly. This time, our act is ruined. All our previous efforts will be in vain." Wu Chen quickly agreed, "I'll be right there." A moment later, Li Rubing shouted angrily, "It's been 40 minutes since you called. Aren't you really in a hurry? My Mr. Wu, help me pull the strings quickly." Li Rubing took Wu Chen's hand. "Okay, let's go." When Wu Chen and Li Rubing walked in, Li Rutui asked, "Sister, brother-in-law, why are you here so late?" "Dad has been waiting impatiently for a long time." Li Rubing was a little nervous. "Dad, what? Why didn't you call and tell me in advance?" "This man is the master of the Li family. He is the father of Li Rubing and Li Rutui. His name is Li Maran." Li Maran said in a deep voice, "Inform you in advance so that you can be well prepared to deal with me." Li Rubing hugged Li Maran's arm. "Dad, why did you come suddenly?" "The time has not yet come." Li Maran was angry. "You can't even take care of your brother. You've made such a big deal, you won't let me come to Donghai." Li Rubing felt indignant. "How can you blame me for this?" Li Rutui said weakly, "Dad, sister, don't quarrel as soon as you meet." Li Rubing thought to herself, "Yes, we definitely shouldn't quarrel at this time." Wu Chen reached out and pulled Li Rubing. Li Rubing also took advantage of the situation. "Oh, I officially introduce my boyfriend to you, Wu Chen honey. This is your father-in-law. You call him uncle first. We'll correct it later when we get married." Wu Chen continued, "Uncle, it's a pleasure to meet you." Li Rubing saw Li Maran's expression and thought, "What's going on with my father's expression?" Li Rutui could only apologize in his heart. "Sorry, sister. I couldn't help you at all." When Dad first arrived in Donghai, he was even more frightening than he was now. Li Maran angrily slammed the paper on the table. "Are you and your sister colluding to deceive me?" Li Rutui was afraid and said, "Dad, you have to believe me. We really investigated with all our might. We even found out which kindergarten Wu Chen went to as a child, and even the birth records in the county hospital are all here." Li Maran folded his arms and turned around. "I don't believe a single word of this kind of material. He's not Wu Chen. The real Wu Chen is probably dead. He has taken on Wu Chen's identity. That's why he can't be found no matter how we investigate." Li Rutui looked at the pile of materials. "Dad, that's impossible. We've eaten together. I asked someone to get the bowls and chopsticks he used to do a DNA test with his father's DNA. The report is here. They're related by blood." Li Maran said, "Then there is only one possibility. It's another trick of Rubing, just like the previous ones. They were all fake. All of Wu Chen's activities these days were arranged by your sister in advance." Li Maran thought to himself, "I came here to expose your lies." Li Maoran turned to Wu Chen and said, Wu Chen, sit down, did you just graduate? Li Rubing and Li Rutoi both thought that their father's eyes and tone of voice had changed. What did he want to do this time? Wu Chen sat down. Yes, I used to work in Rubing's company. Li Maoran continued, what did you major in university? What are your plans for the future? Wu Chen said slowly, computer science, medical field. I'm helping Rubing with the listing. Li Maoran continued, oh right, Wu Chen, what are your hobbies? Li Maoran thought to himself. He answered, as we investigated, it seems that he has a plan. Let me change my direction and try. Wu Chen also replied calmly, I have a lot of hobbies, such as justice, painting, music, free fighting, and cars. Li Rubing was also a little worried. Her father was asking in such detail this time. If Wu Chen said something wrong, it would be over. Wu Chen continued, there are also guns. Li Maoran asked in surprise, what, you know guns? Li Rubing was a little puzzled. Wu Chen's family background couldn't come into contact with guns. How could he make such a simple mistake? Wu Chen continued, yes, I was interested in guns when I was a child. When I grew up, I learned the basic principles of guns through the internet. I also found some blueprints of guns on the internet. After all, I studied computer science, but I really touched a gun. In my second year of college, I made a model gun myself. It was not made of metal, it was a gun made of wood. The structure and components were probably correct. I felt that I understood guns quite well. Li Rubing breathed a sigh of relief internally. Huiyu, it seems that it's been reversed. What do you want to do this time? Are you deliberately making trouble for yourself? Li Maoran rubbed his chin. Rutoi, bring me the gun you have. Li Rutoi hesitated and said, brother-in-law, this. Li Maoran asked, Wu Chen, do you know this gun? Tell me. Wu Chen began to observe. Type 92, replacing Type 54 in 1994. It was approved for deployment and was divided into a police version and an army version. The police version has a locking bolt, while our RUTI's military version is a self-contained semi-automatic rifle with a smaller recoil and higher accuracy. Li Rubing was even more worried in her heart. What was Wu Chen doing? She knew that her father loved guns when he was in the army. He gave her father the impression that he had loved guns for many years. He used their common hobby to close the distance. No, this was not Wu Chen's personality. What did he want to do in the end? Wu Chen removed the gun's clip. This weight, if I'm not wrong, should be 6 bullets. The bullets began to fall to the table. Wu Chen said, 6 bullets, I guessed correctly. Li Rubing couldn't believe it. He used his hand to measure the weight of the gun and immediately determined the number of bullets in the gun. It must be that he was in frequent contact with guns. This Wu Chen wanted to blow himself up. Li Maoran also secretly evaluated. This child wanted to blow himself up. This also meant that the previous excuses were overthrown. That's right, he was lying. This Wu Chen was a big problem. No, proving that he was a problem was his purpose. He must be an extraordinary person to be Li Rubing's boyfriend. He must be extraordinary to cause such a stir in Donghai. This reaction proved that his relationship with Li Rubing was real, but this created a big problem. A man with an unknown background, and even such a special family background, is in love with Li Rubing. In the end, what is his purpose? After some evaluation, Li Maoran said, it seems that you is quite capable. Wu Chen smiled and said, it's so-so, otherwise, how could I have fallen in love with Rubing at first sight? Uncle, why don't we to talk in private? Li Rubing took Wu Chen's hand and said, talk in private. What do you have to say behind my back? Without waiting for Wu Chen to reply, Li Maoran said, Rubing, take your brother out. Li Rubing said, I'm not going. What do you want to say bad about me? Am I not worthy of listening to it? Li Maoran replied, who wants to talk to me in private is Wu Chen. What are you arguing with me for? Wu Chen held Li Rubing's hand and comforted her. Rubing, if you stay here, Uncle can't always care about your feelings. Then we'll have some difficult words to say, right? Li Rubing stood up. Yes, honey, listen to you. Seeing Li Rubing walk out, Li Rutoi also said, Dad, brother-in-law, you to talk. my sister, and I will go out first. As soon as they went out, Li Rubing asked Li Rutai, Rutai, is there a camera in your room? Li Rutai replied, yes, there is. Li Rubing said, let's go and watch. At the same time, in the room, Li Maoran asked, Rubing is quite obedient to you. Wu Chen stood up. She always teaches my life, uncle. Wait a minute. Wu Chen quickly removed Li Rutai's hidden cameras. At the same time, in the surveillance room, Li Rubing looked at the screen. Rutai, what's wrong with your camera? Li Rutai could only reply, maybe I bought a fake. Don't panic. There are still a few left. Meanwhile, Wu Chen easily removed all the hidden cameras in the room. After removing the last hidden camera, Wu Chen said, okay, uncle, we can talk now. Before Wu Chen could finish speaking, Li Maoran pointed the gun at his head. Who are you? Why did you appear by my daughter's side? In the surveillance room, Li Rubing asked Li Rutai in confusion. Rutai, there were images just now, but why are they gone now? Li Rutai also said helplessly, I don't know, sister. Meanwhile, in the private room, Wu Chen stood opposite Li Maoran, truly a family. Rubing and Rutai also pointed guns at me like this at first. But I bet there are no bullets in the gun, uncle. Li Maoran put the gun on the table. Young man, you're quite courageous. To be honest, what's your purpose in dating my daughter? Wu Chen just smiled and replied, I like your daughter and want her to give birth to my children. Do you have a problem with that, uncle? Li Maoran thought to himself, saying this in front of me is the ultimate insult, but it also shows that he's not afraid of me. Li Maoran said coldly, okay, let's not beat around the bush anymore, let's get to the point. Wu Chen also stopped being polite. Uncle, I think you don't care about Rubing at all. You only care about the family's interests. You know very well about Ding Rulong's conduct, yet you forced Rubing to marry him. Aren't you afraid that one day, Rubing will get angry and shoot Ding Rulong to death? Li Maoran slapped the table in anger. Young man, are you trying to teach me? On the other side, Li Rubing was worried and paced back and forth. This won't do. I have to find out what Wu Chen and my father are talking about. Rutai, let's go to the room behind their room. After arriving at the room, Li Rubing took a cup and covered it against the wall, trying to eavesdrop. This should be behind the sofa they're sitting on, damn it. There's no sound at all. Li Rutai was a little helpless. Sister, I used the best soundproof materials when decorating the place in the room. Wu Chen continued to speak. Uncle, I just want to say that Ding Rulong is very stubborn and can't control his emotions. I don't think he'll live long, and neither will the Ding family. Do you still remember Tong Yuan Dao, uncle? Li Maoran replied, he was a junior in our family. I heard that he accidentally drowned 10 years ago. Why are you asking about him? Wu Chen denied Li Maoran's words. He didn't drown, he was murdered. Li Maoran was doubtful. That's impossible. Tong family was half a step lower than Ding family. Even if they had killed him, they wouldn't have been able to avoid investigation. Why would Ding family harm a high school kid? There's no evidence and no logic. Wu Chen clicked on his phone. Uncle, I didn't say that Ding family did it. I said that Ding Rulong did it. Uncle, look, the motive is this woman, Lin Yuan Buxianyu. Her real name is He Shikin. She was pursued by many children from rich and powerful families, but she rejected them all. Just because she tutored Tong Yuan Dao, she became more intimate with Tong Yuan Dao. That's why Tong Yuan Dao died. Ding Rulong was so stubborn that he asked He Shikin to go out and kill Tong Yuan Dao in front of her. So He Shikin agreed to follow Ding Rulong out of fear. I've contacted her before. She really hates Ding Rulong. I'm sure she testified. Li Maoran stood up and shouted, what do you want to do? Wu Chen said calmly, Uncle, why are you so agitated? You must know what I want to do. Li Maoran kept thinking to himself, Tong family has been rising in recent years. If this news is revealed all, it could lead to a great war between the major families. The Li family and Ding family have already formed an alliance. If something happens to Ding family, the Li family can't stand by. Wu Chen continued, among the Ding, Zun, Wei, and Tong families, the Zun family is the Li family's strongest ally. Rubing hasn't married Ding Rulong yet. The cooperation with Ding family can be changed. Am I right? Only then did Li Maoren understand. I see. This kid was sent by someone else to break the alliance between the Li and Ding families. At this time, in the room, Li Rubing was holding an electric drill, she thought, drilling a hole to make the wall thinner. Maybe I can hear something. Li Rutai quickly stopped her. Sister, even if the soundproofing is good, the sound and vibration from drilling the wall will disturb your father and brother-in-law. Li Rubing asked, then what do you think I should do? I want to know what they're talking about. Li Rutai also replied helplessly, Sister, I'm really out of ideas. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the private room became more and more tense. Wu Chen explained, Uncle, it's not what you think. I'm only worried about Rubing and your family. The Tong family is also a good choice now, right? Tong Yuandao's cousin, Tong Yuthe, just graduated from university. I think she's quite compatible with Rutai. Li Maoren smiled coldly. You're quite humorous, young man. Inter-family marriages are not that easy. The Li and Tong families don't even have the minimum trust. How can we get married without even knowing each other? Wu Chen picked up his phone again. If you want to see it, Uncle, I'll do it right now. I'm sure I'll have